going to talk with this mic. What's your name?
Luigi.
Luigi. We've met. I did a Periscope with Luigi yesterday. He was attracted by my iPhone live streaming rig. Hi, what's your name?
Anna Maria.
And what are you here to learn today?
I'm curious. I will wait and see.
Okay. Not sure. What about you? What's your name?
My name is Shora.
What did you come to this workshop for? To make cool videos with your mobile phone. Excellent. Okay. You guys can come forward. It might be a little more improve your vision of what I'm going to show. Some things are kind of small. And usually when I actually do like a workshop, this is about the right number because we're doing a lot of practical hands-on things. But in this format, I don't know what kind of gear you have. I don't know what kind of phone you have. I don't know what apps you have. So, but it may not be a chance for a practical. So what I will try and do is demonstrate some ideas, even some things that were filmed right here during this event. So you can get some ideas about what's possible, where the potential is for maybe your video storytelling. Put me up on the big screen, mister. Thank you. Yeah, I know I'm going to keep your fingers on the audio channel as I go back and forth to the microphones. This is just really awkward to stand here in this corner, so I'm just going to kind of lean and tell you this is some filmmaking I was doing with my iPhone over 12 days in Ireland. Just got back last week, and now we're here in Italy doing some similar stuff, although I haven't climbed any mountains yet, but I hope to maybe tomorrow or the next day. So where I come at it is I'm always looking at the extreme examples. Where do things break? Where do our expectations meet reality? You know, so I'm really trying to do high-level work with gear that is not necessarily designed to do that full time. To see where the opportunities are, to see where the problems are. Let me just show you a little bit of this. What can be done in the field, just carrying an iPhone and some small accessories. So this was off, if you want to find more of those, I was doing that every day as we were going from climbing a mountain, going down by the sea, driving through the back country of Ireland, and we used the hashtag IrishEyes15. So if you wanted to see more of those, there was one every day. And so some of the constraints were, I wanted to put this out on social media. I wanted to put it out on Twitter. And Twitter earlier this year made it possible for you to post 30-second videos, yeah, as a tweet. You can do it using the native app. I'll show you that. And you can also, anything that you have on your camera roll, and this is for iPhone, sorry Android, I don't know if it works for that, allows you to put stories out. So what kind of story can you tell in 30 seconds? Can you do something cinematic? Can you do something journalistic? What kind of story can you tell? That's always going to be the question. The technology will just get smaller, lighter, more powerful. And we need to raise our storytelling as that happens. So who am I? What am I doing? Well, this is a lot of filming goes into a lot of the classes I teach, a lot of the workshops like this that I run at media houses, at schools. And I've put a lot of that into video story form. And have packaged it in a number of different ways. So we have 1 hour today. You know, I've got a course that's like 45 minutes that'll give you some fast tips. I've got a 7-hour master class. So I'm going to use the course outline for creating a TV news package is kind of our outline, our narrative for today. So you're going to get a little taste for free of what I sell online for not much money. Certainly a lot cheaper than a lot of other people are doing film schools for. So that's what you're seeing, and this is what I'm talking about when I say news package. You might call it a news story or a TV news story. And it's a great model, if you've never done one, in your studies of video and filmmaking storytelling. Because once you can understand what the main ingredients are and how to produce each layer of storytelling, you're going to get better in telling visual stories and in film stories. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. This is just a mind map. Has anyone ever done mind mapping to try to explain how pieces work? So the first branches off the mind map talk about sequences. Who knows what who doesn't know what a sequence is? Everyone here is a filmmaker? Okay, great. Maybe I can move right to the tech stuff. But you need visual stories. You need sequences that propel your story. You need sound bites, interview answers. Often you'll use narration. Often you use natural sound as bridges or transitions, and graphics is another storytelling layer. So the news report is a perfect model to look at when you want to develop your skills in mobile storytelling. So the things that you need to know to be able to do that are how to put together the apps and the gear into workable solutions. Workable, lightweight, can go and climb a mountain with and not have a backache the next day or end up in the hospital because you fell down carrying big cases, yeah? You need to know how to transform your smartphone into a professional camera, how to prepare and conduct interviews. You need to know and use the visual language, the visual grammar of putting shots together into sequences. You need to know how those work to advance your story. And there are some tricks along the way. There are some patterns, some shortcuts you can use to get those pieces of material. And then it's always the question, what kind of video am I going to make? It's such a big and open-ended word, it almost means nothing these days because you need to be more specific. You know, when we're talking about we want to add mobile video journalism into our blah, blah, blah organization, the first question I always ask is, what do you mean by video? What types do you think you're going to be doing? Where does this fit into your structure? What do you want to organize around? Are you just talking about trying to get live feeds? Are you just trying to get shots, raw footage back to your newsroom so it can be edited? Are you trying to do short form, 30-second, episodic pieces of storytelling that can go out on social media? Are you trying to do something more complicated, like a video story, you know, that has all the classic elements in it, and so on? So once you start to get organized about what type of video you want to do, then the world kind of opens up. So I'm going to show you something here that was filmed just today on Periscope with that guy. Does everybody know that guy? I know that guy. I just met him. We were getting a cappuccino at the Brufani. But I was prepared. I already had this set up. I'd seen him out of the corner of my eye. Worked my way close to him. He was getting a pitch from some software developer in the Netherlands. I was just like, hey, that looks cool. Can I mind if I look over your shoulder? So I found my way into the interview. This is what interview, but before I did all that, I had all my gear prepped. I already had cleared off every other app on my phone open, only had Periscope open. I had already written my headline in case I got the interview. Jeff Jarvis at IJF15, hashtag 15, yeah. And then I got my opening. And I just said, hey, Jeff, can I just ask you like one question after you're done with this guy? And he said, yeah. And at the same time, I was looking at this environment. This environment is a very loud place. This environment had crappy lighting. I didn't have my full-size tripod with me. I just had this desktop mic stand that I've hacked into a tripod. So I needed to find it, and I wanted a stable shot. So what did I end up getting? I'll show you.
Instead. I think journalism has to shift from becoming a content factory into becoming a service. That brings all kinds of implications about knowing people as individuals and communities. It brings new value. It moves us past just a volume-based business to a business where we got to figure out what our value is and figure out new models based on that. So I'm going to argue for new forms, new relationships, and new business models for news.
Thanks very much. And did you just get here in Perugia?
Just got here, and the room's not ready, so I stink.
Now, so does anybody have any questions about that? How did I tried to set you up a little bit, you know, what was involved in terms of the reporter, what were the problems I had to overcome in the environment, how did I get my way to that celebrity newsmaker, you know? I couldn't have done it on the fly and transmit it live with anything else. I really couldn't have. Did you see the crew outside doing all these videos? How many people did it take just to do formulaic sound pops of students answering questions? It took a reporter, a producer sitting in a chair, a cameraman, and an audio mixer, yeah? I didn't need any of those extra people. I didn't need all their heavy cases. If I wanted a light, I could have brought it and put it on, but I didn't want to scare them. I didn't want to, look too polished. I wanted to get the get, yeah? But, okay, so one of the other things that I had to do was solve the audio problems. So I built a little garage on the front of my camera, and I can attach it. And now I'm getting my subject's voice at a much higher level than the cars honking, the cappuccino glasses making, and all the noise of the bar, yeah? Very, very important. So it's a stable shot. It's got good sound. And the other thing was I did as best as I could to have my subject face the light. But that's a very narrow bar, a wooden bar. You've seen that right up there. I'm literally right next to the guy who's making the cappuccino, yeah? And that's the best I could get, but it worked. What else is interesting about this type of video interview? If you put on your analytical hat, what is it? I mean, of course it's vertical, but what does that mean? What does that mean when we're doing sound bites? It's a different dynamic. It's a different look. It's really different. So that's all you need if you want to start doing live mobile television. You don't need the satellite trucks. You don't need a live view kit. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. But if you are going to use Periscope, like I said, I'm always experimenting with the new stuff, trying it again, seeing what breaks, learning from others who are going through the same experience and sharing that knowledge. So I'll share this with you. If you're going to use Periscope, make sure it's the only app running on your phone. It has problems with microphones or any digital audio interfaces. Now that always gives us better qualities, and this is a temporary problem, I'm sure, until they fix the app. So you have to use an analog mic, one that comes in on the headphone port. I use the Rode SmartLav. And it's also important to disable your notifications. Notice that does not mean go into airplane mode. That means turn on Do Not Disturb. Because Periscope, because of what it's doing, just think about it. It's replacing that satellite truck and everything else that's going on. It's very resource intensive. So give it the full attention of your device. It's too bad Luigi left. Because he didn't know. I couldn't, I don't have any Italian in his English. I couldn't get it to him. But I wanted to say, you're going to be in my show. So this idea of the framing.
Sono anche io qui a Perugia per il Festival Internazionale del Giornalismo, un evento importante per noi giornalisti e per le persone che vogliono fare informazione, un'informazione che è sempre più internazionale e non locale e che vuole essere sempre più vicina attraverso anche i social media. Perugia per me è una grande opportunità, un'opportunità per conoscere e per affrontare meglio quelle che sono le esperienze di oggi per il futuro.
So, in a vertical framing, I don't know how, there's no look space. Who knows what look space is? It's the room to the side, you know? In traditional news broadcast, we don't let our interview subjects speak to the camera. The only person who speaks to the camera is the reporter. That's a formula, that's a language. That has been part of our storytelling language for a long time. This changes that. There's no way around it, I don't think. So what does that mean? Well, it increases the immediacy, but it also kind of relinquishes a little bit of the authority, you know? So these are things we're looking at and things we're considering. You know, is that something we want to do, or would we rather do more traditional things like this? It's another interview I did yesterday. Traditional aspect ratio. Subjects framed left, looking right. So reporter is camera right. I'm just that far away from it, not very far at all. Just slightly off angle. That's traditional framing. You don't have that in vertical. But you can still cut a 30-second soundbite and put it out on social media next to live. It's not live streaming, but it's near. And you can have a little more polish. And you can put that together immediately afterwards on the phone, as I did. I didn't go back to my newsroom. Why? Because my subjects are here. The stories are here. The facts are here. I need to be here.
My name is Wilfred Rutten. I'm the director of the European Journalism Center. We've been coming here for the last 5 years. And we love to see the event grow and become more international and more interesting. This is the main event in Europe for journalists. Anybody who sees this, anybody should come here. And there's no excuse for not coming here. And it's wonderful. And it's informal. Internet doesn't work, as we all know, so everybody has a bit of time on his hands to talk.
So now we're getting a little bit more polished. We're introducing graphics. We're introducing cutaway shots. We're introducing some cinematic elements of time lapses. It's a little more entertaining. It's a little more richer, yeah? But it's all done on the phone. Every piece of that. Never left my phone. And some of the interesting things, especially the latest models of phone, is that they've got some really advanced modes, like 240 frames per second. Slow, they call it slow motion, but to me that's 8 times frame rate, which means I can control time. Let me give you an example again. Now this goes to the acts, so we're moving a little bit from sound bites and interviews and packages to just more pure filmmaking, more sequences. Why do you need to film certain things, and how do you find the connections between shots? So let's look at this. This is from Dublin 2 weeks ago. And these were some of my students in a workshop like this, except that we had a few hours. And see, I'm going to pitch that to the guy who's running this festival, because I think that would be really fun to take all of you on a 2-hour video walk and shoot and film in the streets, and challenge you to be a story finder, not just a storyteller. And that is the bridge that we've crossed. We now can improvise stories on the fly. We don't have to be so formulaic, so overplanned. We can improvise and find interesting visual narratives. So let me just show you this. Again, it's about 30 seconds. Now that was filmed in about an hour's walk and in about literally 5 minutes of editing. And why would it take so little time to edit? Has anyone here edited video before? Have you done it a lot? Done it a lot. If you've got the shots, you can cut fast, right? If you've got the shots. If you've got shots that connect together. It's easy. It's easy because there's a grammar. You know, there's so many different ways to connect shots between wide, medium, close-up, between color, between characters. You know, let's look at it again. And I want to scrub through it because there's a lot of thinking and there's a lot of storytelling happening in a very short amount of time. And that's the real power of being a master at video storytelling, which you can do with your bloody phone. Let's see if I can get, yeah, I got a scrub bar. So I'll just pause it. What does the first shot do? What does the first shot do? As a viewer, I'll tell you what I was thinking. I'm trying to grab people. I'm trying to catch them. Because I know if I catch them in those first few seconds, they're going to watch the whole thing, no matter how long it is. So I'm looking for an element of surprise, originality, maybe a mood to cause interest. I just want desire. Subliminally, I want desire, people to watch this. But I'm also introducing some of the characters, so it serves a story purpose. Next shot, it's time-lapse. It didn't have to be. It's just, for this assignment, I had challenged everyone to not use traditional video camera modes. Every shot either had to be a panorama, a time-lapse, or a slow-mo, and see what kind of see what that did to your visual narratives. So now, this few seconds of video just moves the viewer from one location to another. Again, people are the bridge. So narrative motion, not camera motion, it's narrative motion. The camera was locked down. So narrative few seconds does a lot of work. It takes us from inside to outside, yeah? It puts us in a new location. That new location is going to have new ideas. And now we're doing an over-the-shoulder shot, and we're actually dollying with him, yeah? Again, in slow motion, so it repeats something we've seen before. Now it seems familiar. It also introduces something you may not be aware of, and that is the color red. The color red, yeah? That makes an easy connection. We see in wide those red pylons. We see in the next another over the shoulder picking up another one of our students. And now we see that they're filming. What are they filming? At the new location, new characters. New characters enter the scene. What scene is that? What's happening? There's some weather, so there's some wind. What's happening next? Those characters re-enter the scene. And we're done. And it's just a vignette. So that's really the challenge, is to get really, really good at that language, because then it unlocks your potential to tell many, many different types of video stories. So be great at interviews, but interviews aren't a story. Interviews plus cinematic storytelling can be awesome. Here's what can happen if you have a little more time. Observational narratives. Now these are basically like documentary style filmmaking. And as you look at the film that I'm about to show you, I want you to remember that it was recorded in about an hour's time in an office in Skye, Scotland. A really remote part of the country, which you'll see pictures of. And it was done with an iPhone 4 on a tripod with one little LED light and a lavalier mic mounted to the interview subject. I'm not in this film, but I am in this film as a visual storyteller. I hope you enjoy it. This is part of a movie I'm making called Breaking the News.
When you've got a fragile area, which we have.
Hey Leo, can you bring up the sound a little?
People are able
Leonardo.
to work and live and enjoy where they live.
Leonardo.
We wouldn't have any meaningful land reform legislation in Scotland if it wasn't for a campaign driven by the West Ham Free Press. That's something that we've campaigned on since 1972 and became government policy quite recently. Those are the sort of campaigns and issues that we focus on as a newspaper. Things to do with the culture and the fragility of where we live, and trying to address those challenges for the benefit of everybody. What we tend to find is that newspapers provide that coalescing voice to the community. So the challenges those living here are the same for everybody, no matter whether you're a crofter or a fisherman or somebody involved in the tourist industry. A lack of infrastructure, a lack of investment in that infrastructure. You'll notice that some of the villages are quite small. There's a lack of schools, local hospital provision, lack of investment in roads. These are the sort of coalescing issues that a community needs, that we give voice to. I'm a shareholder of the West Ham Free Press, my colleagues are shareholders. But if any of these guys leave, the only place that they can ever sell their shares is to another shareholder of the West Ham Free Press. That anybody new starting or anybody wanting to come to work for the West Ham Free Press has a chance to share in that ownership. So if we're successful, yes, that could mean a nice little bonus in the term of a dividend at the end of the day. But they have a chance to have a say in the decision making, the overall strategy of the company, which I don't think many employees provide.
Okay, so I will ask you the same question I ask any of my students in workshops. Mostly they are professional journalists, probably like yourself. What did you see? What did you see? Yeah, sorry for the ad at the end. What did you see? What did you hear? What's missing? Was there anything missing? Did you feel like there was anything missing? Where was the narration? Where was the reporter on camera? Those are two big elements from that traditional news package that were intentionally eliminated. Did the story fall down? No. It probably got better because I suck on camera. You know, I just don't like to be. I'm much happier to be behind and let my subject tell the story. And that's a skill you can learn, you know. And it's a really powerful skill. That to me is the high bar. If you can go in unplanned, unscripted, you're not hiring or, you know, doing casting calls for your documentary. I'm sorry, once it does that, it's no longer nonfiction. If you can do that on the fly in the field and get results like that every time, you can learn a lot about this craft. And like I said, that was done 2.5 years ago with an iPhone 4. Yes, some of the shots that you saw were done with a GoPro, because my iPhone 4 didn't have time lapse, you know. I didn't have the knowledge that I do in the time sense about how to do all that stuff on my phone now. And now the only shots that I do with my GoPro is when that driving shot you saw at the end, I put on suction cup mount, put it in a waterproof housing, and I drive down the road on the wrong side. Yeah, I'm not going to do that with that. No way, man. I'll do it with a GoPro. It's perfect for it. So, these are the steps. You really, if you want to get better at this, mastering the shot patterns, finding those connections between the shots, whether it's colors, characters, inside, outside, is going to improve your visual storytelling. Please try never to make general views or B-roll pictures. Those pictures can be extremely powerful if you take care and you look for them, you story find them, and then you story tell with them. And then getting those sound bites, those interview answers to work as complete encapsulated thoughts is super important. Because that became, once I had done that interview, I chopped it up and I found the best pieces and he told it, but I had to condense the time. And I led with the most interesting stuff, and I built, so his answers became my arc. Then I did a picture edit. So you may start out with a written text or of a story, but that's not a video. You won't try and find pictures to it. Those never make great videos consistently. It's just a suggestion to the way the story should start. Okay, I've written an outline, I've written a draft, a storyboard, I've written a 500-word blog. Okay, that's an idea for a video. It's not a video yet. What do you have to do? Visual reporting, powerful interviewing, and then you rebuild the story, and then you write to pictures. And, you know, in my courses, in online or in person, those are the steps we walk you through, and we try to make it as simple and as step-by-step as possible. That there are 10 ways to do steps. If you want to produce that complex video report, you can get there. And but the core of it is the stuff I'm showing you. It's not about the latest apps. It's not about the latest gadgets. Those are just means to producing great and compelling stories. And they're just getting more powerful as the camera becomes more and more connected. So I have better cameras. I got big cameras like that in my studio gathering dust, you know. They're not connected. They're dumb cameras. That's a smart camera, and that's what makes it the most powerful camera in the world. Because it's always on, talking to my network, talking to a data network, talking to apps that are intelligent to bring us all together. Whether that's bringing an exclusive from Jeff Jarvis, from Perugia, Italy, a place I don't live, and being comfortable doing it. But since we all do love apps and gear, let's talk about it a little bit. The primary apps that I use when I'm teaching workshops are ones that are designed either to transform your smartphone into a professional film camera as much as possible, or for special purposes, you know. Filmic Pro, I'm sure you've all heard of. It's fantastic, especially if you need to, and I do live in the European Union, you need to film at 25p, because the way that the lights, you don't see it, our eyes don't see it, but that light is actually vibrating at 50 times a second. It's called 50 cycles, 50 hertz. A default camera from the United States is used to electricity vibrating at 60 cycles per second. And the problem isn't output, it's input. And so I need to film at a ratio that matches. So 25 times 2 is 50. If I film at 25p, my lights don't flicker. So if you're filming indoors, that's really, really important. Okay, that was like a whole engineering school about why we need to film in 25p and not 30p when we're in the EU, because that's the way the electricity works. So that's number one. Also getting manual control, being able to lock focus, lock exposure, set white balance, just like on a professional camera. Check your audio levels. Yep, it's a great app. It's unbelievable. It's only like less than $10. I like to not only put all my video apps onto one pane, I like to organize them by their function. So put all your filming apps close together. And then do the same for all of your editing apps. And finally, for your sharing apps. Once you have all of your apps organized by their function, you're ready to begin. So imagine if my phone wasn't organized and I had this opportunity to get Jeff Jarvis in an exclusive and live broadcasting. Yeah? And my Periscope app is right next to Bejeweled and next to Candy Crush and next to, Snapchat, and I can't find it and I lose the interview, right? So just getting your apps organized is going to help you in the field. So I have just video, just multimedia, just social media on my phone. Okay, I have a couple games. It's true. Let's look a little bit closer. Now you can get this for free from Filmic Pro. It's all built into their website. But this is what we're talking about in transforming your standard camera into a pro camera. That's what we're looking at, are those primary controls in the center of locking exposure and focus. You move them around and then you set them and then you touch down this corresponding icon in the lower left and it locks it. So that means that if the sun comes out or if the sun goes down or if a light comes on or whatever, it's not going to look strange and be unusable video. It also means that the focus won't be seeking all the time and auto-focusing. You need to lock those things out if you want to have consistent, easy to edit video later on. And that's what it looks like when you're recording. And so on. Just turning on a thirds guide can improve your composition a lot. I'm just going to flip through a lot of these to get to the gear, the gadgets. Yeah? So what's in my backpack? That was the question there. As little as possible. I'm a minimalist. I need to be able to make sure that backpack and me can make it up the mountain and down before sunset and not have to call emergency services and be rescued, yeah? So as little as possible. I've recently moved from the backpack to the hip pack. I've used this for years. I've skied with my old video camera that would fit in here, a Sony A1U. I've skied without poles, and this was on my hip. And so I had this, and now I've been refining this, and I'm always refining this to say, look, if that's my core gear, can I get it in here? And the answer is increasingly yes. Finally, we're getting the interconnections, those bridges to the professional world. There always is going to come back to the same three problems you need to solve every time you film. Stability, light, and sound. There's one more, and that's power. So I always carry, an extra power bank with me, because that's something that's unique to mobile, that you've got to always be charging. Everyone knows that ABC, always be charging, yeah? Oops, I go back. So where is it? Oh, it's coming up. So here's the deal. I don't always have one recommendation for what you should be carrying. I will configure my kit based on my anticipated needs. Am I going to be doing primarily handheld work? Then that might be the absolute minimum. Do I know I'm going to be producing a TV news package? I know I'm going to need a minimum, a monopod, better a tripod, and that stuff. I'm going to use my digital mic because I have no problems using it with Filmic Pro. It's going to give me a lot more broadcast quality sound. That's what that mic looks like. It's not expensive. By the way, it's made in Italy. I like to say that. My friends at IK Multimedia have some amazing solutions, and this is one of them. This is definitely more serious. But again, it's IK Multimedia giving you that bridge between the professional broadcast microphone world, including condenser microphones that need 48-volt phantom power, into the digital side of the mic. Fantastic improvement in the audio quality. And it means all of your existing microphones still work. And yeah, I like to carry a lot of power in my pocket to recharge an iPad and an iPhone. So I look for something that has at least 10,000 milliamps in the power bank, because I can get several charges out of that. And it's not that heavy and it's not that big. So depending on the needs of the day, my setup might look like that you're seeing here. Or it might have my whole full carbon fiber tripod. But my carbon fiber tripod that I bought 7 years ago cost $600 in a Toronto photo store. Best $600 I ever seen. This thing cost $600. In 2 years, I'm not going to be using it. Probably next year, I won't be using it. The whole phone will be a second camera, because it's going to be something better I'll be using, and that's going to get worn out. That tripod never will. So look for clever solutions at your music store. Anyone who does pro audio. My best favorite selfie stick, my best favorite tripod is neither. It's a desktop mic stand, German made, but you can get it everywhere, by K&M. Costs less than 30 euros. The key to getting the most out of it is, again, crossing that bridge from its design purpose, which is to attach a microphone, to my purpose, which is to attach a camera. So the bridge is simply a mini ball head. So now I can lock this camera at any angle that I want, and I also have a 90-degree swivel up here, added recently for Meerkat and Periscope. There you go. That's all you need. This, by the way, this 90-degree thing, this was a lucky get. It came with this lamp. This lamp that I have is very inexpensive, but very professional. By professional, I mean I can change the color balance from indoor to outdoor to anywhere in between. Match it perfectly. Can also dim it at whatever I want. None of this push button stuff. I can always check my batteries. It accepts any standard battery. It's super thin, super light. I love it. And it doesn't cost hundreds and hundreds. It costs, I don't know, 50 euros. But if you're on the fly and you got to improvise, that can also be a selfie stick. I can extend it even one more half meter, and I could use it as a selfie stick for doing a piece to camera. If you wanted to come in on the analog side, like for an Android device, when we were training hundreds of reporters for Radio Free Europe, which was a project I was doing for a while, was developing all this training and technology for them. Finding ways in on the analog side. With a professional microphone, there's a bridge called the XLR adapter, and it comes from a company called Vericorder. And it's not just a cable. There's actually it's an active circuit. There's a preamplifier in there. It gives you 4 dB gain, and it crosses that bridge. I've got it right here. I'll pass this around. You're giving me a lot of eyes. Can you help me out and make sure I get my microphone? If you don't take it? Okay. I love to pass around my gear. I do. I think you should touch it, feel it, taste it, play with it, break it, figure out how it works, because you're going to be relying on it. Here's again the details on this lamp. It's called a LuxPad 22. Now the 22 isn't displaying because of font issue or something, but it's LuxPad 22. That's your keyword search. So if you have to train anybody, first of all, give them my courses, because they'll get the fundamentals and it'll save you a lot of time. And it will drill into their heads these fundamentals. If you've never done smartphone video before, you want to get manual control. We don't want to shoot vertical. We have to right now, but we're talking to the developers at Periscope about supporting, and they will be supporting horizontal. This is something that gets overlooked a lot. If you're just filming and you're doing that interview and you're getting great sound bites, the last thing you need is a call, an SMS. And those are obvious. Of course you don't. But the thing that you may not be realizing is that when that radio is on, it causes interference with audio circuits like this. And with audio circuits like that, I mean microphones when I say audio circuits. Turning into airplane mode shuts off the cell phone radio and really turns your smartphone into a more pro video camera. Mastering your settings, 25 or 30p, we've already addressed a little bit. So once you get that set up and you've got those drilled into your head, you need to make sure your batteries are charged and that your mics work before you head out. It's one of those things that always tends to fail, you know? So do your mic test, Periscope doesn't give you audio levels. You don't know. I've done a Periscope last week, got burned because I did my digital mic, and for some reason, that app only recorded 2 seconds of a 17-minute interview and no audio. So I've learned, I'm sharing those lessons with you. Come in on the analog side until they fix the problem. And then master those fundamentals. Learn about the shots. Learn the sequence language. One of the keys to that is not just turning on your camera and trying to do everything with one big move. Or come back to your editor and say, the answer to the question is, oh, did you get everything? Yeah, I got everything. I got a wide shot. It has everything in it. That's not everything. You need medium shots. You need close-ups. You need over the shoulders. You need neutral shots to cut away. You need lots and lots of close-ups. And you need to, whenever and however possible, stabilize your device. So what are some of the ways that we could stabilize our device even if we don't have a tripod? Anybody got any ideas? How would you get stable video? Because stable video is more watchable. People will like it better. They'll stay longer with it if it's not so shaky and handheld and panning all the time. How can we do that even if we don't have a tripod? Make yourself a tripod. Yeah? Seriously, make yourself, bring your arms in, and be as steady as you can. That's one way. Find tripods when you only have desktop nightstands. And out of the range of some people, voila, tripod at the right eye line of the person I'm interviewing, like I did with Jeff Jarvis. So you have to be always thinking about problem solving, because maybe this is all you packed in your go bag that day, and you've got a chance to grab it. So maybe that's all you've got. So the tip that I was giving there, I know I was live streaming and probably nobody heard me, was make yourself a tripod. Find anything that can be stable and attach your phone to it. Yeah, bring your arms in, improvise. It really pays off. And never, ever, 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 ever use the digital zoom. Because it's not. It's a marketing term. Zoom, no, it's cropped. There's no lens effect of a zoom there. It's not changing to, a prime lens. It's not changing to a telephoto lens. So zoom on your camera is not zoom. Every shot is a wide shot. So you have to get, and you have the great opportunity to get your camera really close to things. And it's a wide macro, it's a wide medium, but it's better than everything wide all the time. And so that's why I say use sneaker zoom. So when you're filming And we often say, a lot of people will repeat the mantra, oh yeah, wide, medium, tight, wide, medium, close-up. Everyone know that language? That's a traditional language of film and television, wide, medium, close-up. Wide. I'm in a room, wide. Medium, I don't need to see their shoes anymore, right? Those are often really boring shots anyways. So not showing their shoes. And maybe in this case, this close-up is actually over the shoulder, showing the detail of what the reporter's writing down. The key to that is that they're not randomly shot. Here's the pro tip, and this is from my book. There's a line of action, yeah, between people, and that's crossing the line, but this is a shooting line. If you really want to get those shots connected, and we showed the power of connecting shots at the beginning of this talk, think about shooting wide, medium, and close-up along the same axis between the camera and your primary subject. My primary subject was the ending shot there, was the reporter next to the camera. It wasn't really the person being interviewed. That would have been a different shooting line. So if you want to get 9 different great shots that might connect together from just standing in a small room in Egypt, make 3 shooting lines and shoot 3 different shot sizes with your feet, not zoom, on each line. And you'll have 9 choices later in your edit. Then you can edit a video in 5 minutes rather than pulling your hair out because you don't have the shots that answer questions. And it takes a lot less time. So once again, wide, medium, close, but all with purpose. Now, I don't really have these. I've played with them. I want them. I just haven't. I've been traveling. And I think the only place I can get these is when I'm in America or when a friend is coming over from America. But these are called moment lenses. And I'm really tempted for that medium telephoto lens because it gives you that nice 60, 70 millimeter lens, perfect for interviews. People just look better. People don't always look great filmed in wide. There's some distortion there. It doesn't always make the face the most flattering. The most flattering is kind of a medium telephoto. Filmmakers call it a prime lens. When I was a newspaper photographer, we just called it, a portrait lens. 85 millimeter, if you're a 35 millimeter fan, is the ideal length, but anything between 50 and 85 is perfect. And it's a very different look. So I'm tempted to put one more small piece of gear in my bag, and it would always be there if I'm going to be doing interviews. I talked about shot patterns. We talked briefly about wide, medium, close. And I know we're probably at the end. How much time do I have, Leonardo? How much time do I have? I have 2 minutes, so I should end on this thought. And there is a way that you can get great results every time. Yeah, repeatable professional results. And that's a 6-shot pattern. So whenever I'm interviewing somebody, the interview is not one of those shots, by the way. I need to make a separate exercise to film their faces, their hands, and over the shoulder of them doing the work, a neutral shot that shows something else in the scene, maybe the people that they're helping, yeah? So a shot other than my main subject. I need to have an establishing shot that puts the viewer into the scene. And then I'm always looking for a creative shot. You've seen, I tend to use like a time lapse or some kind of motion tracking, some kind of original shot to grab attention. You have those elements. You can put it together as a visual narrative, and you can put the sound bite underneath, and maybe somewhere in the middle, you just see the person talking, yeah? And within 30 seconds, now you have a cinematic news report that you can send out of your phone over social media. So, my name's Robb Montgomery. You can find out more at the Smart Film School. Okay? Questions? Who has a question? Did I answer everyone's questions? Really? Really, really, really? Okay. Am I going to get my microphone back? That's my question. It's already back? Oh, it's the best student right here. Okay. Thank you.
My question is that have you ever used Android or just always iPhone?
Right, so the question is, have I ever used Android? I don't own one. I did when Radio Free Europe was a client of mine, and for a while I did. Boy, have I ever used Android? My experiences with Android have been mixed. I was in Rome, and I had just gotten my phone from Radio Free Europe. I'd loaded it up with all the apps that I wanted to test and then use in the training that we were developing, and a protest happened. I had finished some training for Caritas. I was inside Vatican City, really in the bubble, and I had a couple hours before my flight, and I walked out in the streets and said, oh, finally I get to walk past the Coliseum and whatever, and then I hear drums. And by the way, I've noticed there were a lot of police and blah, blah, blah. So I quick take out this smartphone, this Android thing, and I start filming with the video camera, and I'm getting all the shots, right? Because I don't have much time, but I know the patterns. So I'm getting my shots. I'm going up and talking to students. Hey, do you speak English? Do you speak English? I'm doing some interviews. And then I just do a real quick check, and I look down and I try to look at all my clips, and for 2 seconds they're there. I see 13 pieces of video. And I go, okay, great. And I just, let me play one. I touch it, and 10 of them disappeared. And I said, plan B. I can't come back empty. The technology failing is not going to stop me from getting and sharing a story. So what did I do? I went to the camera. I did the same thing. Now I'm doing still pictures. Boom, 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 boom. What do? I open up a tape recorder, and I go and find another student who speaks English or has a friend who will translate, and I get audio. And I've got 3 pieces of video. I've got, I don't trust the video camera at this point, and I use Bamboozer, and I open Bamboozer, and I do a selfie piece to camera, and I'm just doing it, and I'm saying, this is Robb Montgomery in the streets of Rome, where students are protesting, blah, 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 you know? And I take that video out, and I save that, because I know Bamboozer will save that video also to my device. And then I have to run out of this danger zone to get to the airport, which was a whole nother story. And so my experience with Android was not great. Now, I had to train all those reporters on Android. You just can't go as far. You cannot go as far. But what I found is almost every reporter carrying Android has an iPad. And it's like, okay, let's open up your iPad, because everything I'm doing here on the phone, you can do on your iPad pretty much. So that's my long story about Android. Any other questions? Would you like to see that protest video? Let me see if I can find it. I know if you search N14 on YouTube, N14 Rome. Oh, I might even have it on my device. Let's just look for it up here. You know, this 2-screen thing is a little bit difficult. Okay. Oh, God. Plan B. Now you guys are really challenging me because I can't look at my... You can have too much stuff on your computer. Okay, we'll finish with this. So here's what it looked like. This was 3 years ago.
Robb Montgomery reporting for Radio Liberty in the streets of Rome, where students are protesting against the privatization of their university education.
Minister of wants privatizzare private school. The school is public.
Police are obviously trying to slow down the protesters in an attempt to contain them in this long, broad avenue here in front of the archaeological ruins of the old empire.
So that's all you can do when Android lets you down. Thank you very much.